Shout outs to everybody. And this is your girl J Essence in the building. So Merry Christmas. We are a couple days away to everyone. Happy Kwanzaa to all those who are also listening, but don't worry, we'll be doing some things. But today is a day I'm coming to you with some learning and light. Yes, I am in educator mode. And so we're going to get that together and we're going to really talk about the Rhonda Vision 2020 50 plan. Now, if you are a person who's looking at investing, or even if you're a person who's looking at living here, I have stated all the time you need to review the vision for Rhonda because you need to know where it's going to. Because sometimes people be like, oh my gosh, like what's going on here? What's going on here? And to be honest with you, I'm not as shocked because I'll be like, this is what the vision is. This is where their ideas are going. For example, the move with I forgot about that, the UK with the people coming over and Britain, I guess, shut it down at the last second. But when that was going on, I really didn't have a comment on it because if you look at what the plan is, it aligned to what the plan is. Now, one reason why I take the Vision 2050 very seriously, and we're going to break that down today, is because the Vision 2020 happened. Vision 2020 happened. So, for those who don't know, basically all of the key members of the country, ministries, and all that stuff have come together and they created pillars, they created action plans, they created all these things, and they aligned the goals with that. And that is one reason why Rwanda has been able to progress and show the economic growth that they've had in the past 25 to 30 years. And so this is coming to light because if you follow New Times Rhonda, which is like the leading, there's like two newspapers, but New Times Rhonda, they actually did an article today talking about over 300 million USD, get it together, to be invested in a real estate project near Kigali Golf Club, which is really, really a poignant article. I'm going to kind of click it down for a second because it says some key points. So shout out to Michael Nuronzinza, who actually wrote this article. And so local leaders have told residents living near the wetland that straddles Kigali Golf and Parliament. So that area right there, that premise to be ready for a way for real estate, recreation, golf expansion, and a proposed five-star hotel. That is actually an ideal location. Oh my gosh. There was a meeting that was held recently, and he said the unplanned settlements in those areas will soon be upgraded as the city of Kigali and investors implement a project dubbed the Kigali Golf Resorts and Villas. And that project has now entered its second phase. Residents must be ready for expropriation in public interest. I'm going to go here. Da, 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 da. Now, they talked about a couple of things. Now, here's a number one. The price of land has increased 19 by yeah, the price of land has increased by 19% in the city of Kigali, according to the recent land cost index commissioned by Rwanda Land Use Authority. Told you prices are coming up. Also, there was a $300 million investment plan to change the face of the Kigali city, and that was the CEO of Rwanda Ultimate Golf Course. So, beside expanding the golf course, part of the money will be spent on real estate, recreation, golf expansion, four-star hotel project execution in areas where a number of households that have yet to be established will be, you know. Um, so, there's going to be an estimated of 15 hectares, and 15 hectares. Where's my little calculator, boo boo? 15 hectares. Well, in a hectare is 2.5 acres. So 2.5 times, oops, wrong number, 2.5 times 15. So they're looking at, 93 acres of land, like 93 acres of land. So it's equivalent to 500 standard plots of 300 square meters each. Also, an eco park. This is where I'm trying to get into. So there's going to be the hotel, the sports bar, bistro, restaurant, champagne bar, conference rooms, gyms, club for children, tennis courts, also with the golf course. And the hotel can have between 50 to 60 rooms as well as conference halls. This is, yeah, like I said, they're really doing a lot. Now, possible planned real estate for sale with over 600 houses. So the idea is not just to create a golf course. So I wanted to kind of dig down a little bit more. because there's an idea of a lot of tourism coming in. That's the whole reason why the convention center is the way it is, all those things. And so, sports tourism. Rwanda has begun promoting a new type of tourism, which is now golf tourism. And just for those who want to know, the NBA, no, the ball, sorry, the ball has is getting ready to start their tournament. And once again, championships are in Kigali. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff happening here. So now we have the golf tourism piece, and they're looking at really creating something and also promoting conservation and natural environment protection. I'm about to get into the plan. This is why all of this is important. And so it's also going to be a conservation hub to over 60 bird species in this area as well. And in the previous year, this is what I'm break out sports tourism. In Rwanda has generated over $6 million, accounting for 13% of the total generated revenues earned from the mice industry. So coming off of COVID, this is past year, they were at $6 million, which is also 13%. So this kind of tells you what the goals are. So we're going to go ahead and share our screen. And I actually pulled up two documents today for us to talk about. And the first document, like I said, this is not no guess. This is the actual Vision 2050. It's the abridged version. The original version is like 365 pages. We're not doing this. And if you look here, all you have to do is Google Rhonda Vision 2050. You can find this, and this is a PDF. And like I said, if you're planning on moving here, especially if you're planning on investing here, you want to look at this because you want to know what the vision is. So the very first thing is what President Kagame said, which is we don't want to be a status quo country or a status quo people. Vision 2020 was about what we had to do in order to survive and regain our dignity. But Vision 2050 has to be about the future we choose because we can and because we deserve it. Rwandans will not be satisfied to live paycheck to paycheck, from harvest to harvest, without accumulating wealth and financial security. They want to live close to the families they love and watch them thrive. They want access to world class education right here at home. They aspire to travel the world in search of new ideas and experiences, unhindered by barriers, and then fly proudly back home to Rwanda because there's no other place they rather live. If this sounds right, then we are together. That means not alone, but all of us. And he actually did this back in 2015. So before we dig into 2050, he alluded to Vision 2020. So I'm going to break that one down. So this is Vision 2020. And this is basically how they came together and figured out where they were coming from and then now where they're going forward. And so I'm focusing in on the pillars right here, number 4. Can you see my highlighted? Yes. So there were 6 main pillars. One was good governance and a capital, capable. Jesus, forgive me. Number 2 is human resource development and a knowledge based economy. Number 3, private sector led development. Number 4, infrastructure development. Number 5, productive, high value, and market oriented agriculture. Number 6, regional and international integration. So these right here is really what catapulted those things up. And then they also really focused on their gender equality, natural resources and the environment, and science, technology, and ICT. So we are going to go real quick if we can just to the roadmap because we have to know Sankofa where we came from in order to figure out where they're trying to go. So this really broke down what they planned on doing, the Rwandan planning process here, and the different areas here and how they held people accountable, the budgets, the monitoring, and the evaluation, and the financing. And so here it takes account the necessity to achieve aspirations of Rwandans, the assumption perspectives of a period until 2020 could be summarized as follows: population growth, assumed to average 2.7 into 2020, to transform into a middle income country with a per capita of about 900 USD Rwandan will be able needed to be achieved upon the 7% GDP annual growth rate over the period. Based upon this The country needs to annually invest 30% of GDP in order to achieve the targeted economic growth of 7%. Initially, agriculture is the major engine of growth, representing more than 45% of GDP until 2010, while industry and services represent 20% and 37%. Afterwards, the industrial service sectors take over that. So by 2020, services will contribute to 42%, industry 26%, agriculture 33%, which is one of those things that if we really talk about land and how those three areas are broken up into land, why they're so serious that when you turn around and get agricultural land, they're looking for you to start doing agricultural things and generating into the agriculture sector. They basically have laid out this entire vision. Private investment would account for 20% of GDP, and public investment should be 8%. The public capital expenditure is assumed to increase to Rwandan 605 billion. So these are those things, and this were the projections here for them to be able to follow. Okay. And this is very hefty, but they've done a conclusion. It's an ambitious plan, but it's to raise the people of Rwanda out of poverty and transfer country into a middle income economy. Pay attention to that. They want to be a middle income economy. Some will say that this is too ambitious and that we are not being realistic when we set this goal. Others will say it's a dream. But what choice does Rwanda have? To remain in the current situation is simply unacceptable for the Rwandan people. Therefore, there is a need to devise and implement policies as well as mobilize resources to bring about the necessary transformation to achieve the vision. This is realistic based on the fact that countries with similar unfavorable initial conditions have succeeded. The development experience of the East Asian tigers prove this dream could be a reality, which is when you talk about, I'm going to come back here for a second. When you talk about how people say Rwanda is the new Singapore of Africa. Like literally, they're taking their blueprint and what Singapore has done, and they're trying to replicate that same blueprint. And they have done it. Therefore, it was not just to get to 2020, it was able to move to 2050. Now, something thwarted their plans, and that, of course, was COVID. So, it's taken them, it kind of like made them take a couple steps back, but they're still coming back forward, which is where you're getting all of this new information now and movement. Like when you come to Rhonda, you see building, you see implementation, you see like this vast of like some poverty to like kind of like this high level living. But what's happening is they're trying to turn things over because let's get into the very first one. Ah, this is just the history of it, and I'm getting hungry. Number one, the overarching goals for the Vision 2050 are economic growth and prosperity. So, Rwanda aspires to become an upper middle income country by 2035 and a high income country by 2050. Specifically, this means realizing the following key economic targets. By 2035, GDP per capita of over USD of 4,300, not 300, 4,036. And by 2050, GDP per capita of over USD 12,476. So this conversation we're having right now is not a conversation on if they are on track or not. Remember, I said this is an educating conversation. I am simply putting out information that you need to know about visions and goals and what is expected or what people are trying to achieve here. So when people are like, I don't know what's going on, there's a goal here. There is an absolute goal. Number two, high quality and standards of life for Rwandans. The aim is to achieve high quality and standards of living. Rwanda will build on the strong progress made in reducing poverty over the last 2 decades. We just read that in 2020. They reduced the poverty rate from 78% after 1994 to 38% in 2017. They now have the aim of eliminating poverty altogether. This will be achieved through ensuring all walks of society have increased opportunities to contribute to national development, including growing investments in human capital and ensuring universal access to amenities, safety, and security. All youth. Women, men, and elderly people will contribute as actors of sustainable development, ensuring no one is left behind and from benefit from development. Vision 2050 is informed by the aspiration of Rwandans of leaving to Rwandan children a better world to live in. As such, growth and development will follow a sustainable path in terms of use, management, and natural resources while building resilience to cope with climate change impacts. That's important. That's that green. So this is a little bit more. So that was one and two. So now the pillars. We talked about the pillars before. The first pillar we have of 2050 is human development. And so they're looking at this like they know it's time to invest in and build the human capital and economic reform so the country has a healthy, well educated, and highly skilled labor force that is gainfully employed. So, universal access to high quality healthcare, universal access to high quality education, transformed workforce for higher productivity. So, your second pillar, the first pillar is human development. Second pillar is competitiveness and integration. Oh Lord. Um, Therefore, Rwanda is targeting to belong in the top 10 countries in doing business in 2035 and maintain that status, rank among top 20 economies competitive by 2035. All right, so I'm going to come off this for a second because in today's paper was another article. This article here, Rhonda tops Africa in internet speed. Got to watch your words. Got to watch your words. And I'm only going to say this as a clarification. Pay attention. All right. New Global Innovative Index GII report released by the World Intellectual Property Organization WIPO has ranked Rwanda as the leading low income country in sub-Saharan Africa with the fastest broadband. Madagascar comes in second place. So I'll put this here. Remember, we said sub Sahara Africa. So it's not all of Africa, but these are actually very true statistics because it's been a couple times and they've worked so hard on internet and broadband and everything else. Um, in Saharian, sub-Saharan, Saharian Africa, Rwanda performs above the regional average in three pillars: institutions, human capital, and research and infrastructure. Also, according to this report, Rwanda's performance is above expectations for its level of development. However, Rwanda produces fewer innovation outputs relative to its level of innovation investments. That's very important. So you know what they're going to be looking at. The innovation outputs, which let's go back to when we were talking about the trade industry. Like I turned around and did that video like a month and a half ago because of what they're trying to do. They're trying to now output and they're really focused in on this innovation investments. Um, so it does show that Rwanda performs better innovation inputs than innovation outputs, which is an improvement compared to 2020 to 2019. Um, Right now, out of all of the economies in the world, Rwanda is 132. And okay, it kind of goes into that. So, this edition's thematic focus on the future of innovation driven growth provides a stance on whether stagnation and low productivity growth are here to stay. So, this is another article that has come out. And first of all, if you guys have your questions, go ahead and put those in. Like and subscribe, share, like, subscribe, and share, like, subscribe, and share, like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so we're going to go back into add to stream vision. So, pillar number one, human development. Pillar number two, competitiveness and integration. And specific priorities include diversified economy. That's why we get into the tourism. That's why we're getting into, we still have the agriculture, we're getting into the private sector. Competitive manufacturing anchored to regional logistics hub. Yes. Modern and innovation services. We just talked about that. Driving transformative growth. Like I said, they have been growing on that. Export oriented knowledge services, high in sustainable tourism. It's right there in the pillar. universal access to financial services. And that is another article we'll talk about later. But like banking out in Rwanda has grown significantly, especially since Vision 2020. So while there's still room to grow by certain expectations, it's grown leap and bounds. Um, Strengthening export competitiveness and trade connectivity, knowledge intensive economy through fostering in research and development, retaining proof of concept destination for future and current innovators. So risk right here is that they are trying to get people to come in and do different things, becoming a data driven economy and future proofing the education system. This is all the current work that is going on. Don't please don't come and be like, I thought they were no, we're working towards this goal. Okay, so your third pillar is agriculture for wealth creation. So the overarching objective of this pillar is to attain agricultural transformation that is equally led by both women and men, professional farmers, and commercialized value chains. So the priorities underneath: modern, market oriented, climate resistant agriculture, scale up from use of modern inputs and technologies to maximize productivity. I'm just going to shout this out to y'all. We got to work on customs, y'all. We got to be able to get the equipment here to do that. Okay. Increased access to agricultural finance and risk sharing facilities. I've seen that actually happen. And integration within global value chains with higher value products. Yes. And I think I shouted out Iguri Coffee for going into trading, and they are now in the Ghanaian market as well. So, pillar number 4, urbanization. And that's a beautiful word. I'm not even going to stumble over right now. Um, The objective is to have 70% of the population living in urban areas by 2050. All right. Key futurations: universal access to quality service and amenities, universal access to affordable and decent housing, ease of mobility and efficient transport. I will say that that transport thing, y'all don't understand. It is There's transport. Smart and green cities for sustainable growth, sustainable supply and demand for energy. Okay, pillar number 5. And so there's 5 pillars: accountable and capable state institutions. The overarching objective for this pillar is to consolidate gains made and continue citizen centered reforms and local innovations and homegrown solutions into the next phase of long term development, rule and law and justice for all, deepening decentralization to bring services closer to citizens. Yes, ensuring efficient and accountable institutions for socioeconomic transformation, which I have to say, the Literacy Center is falling right underneath that. And that's one reason why we're able to move the way we are. So, this is the key thing. This is where I'm not going to lie, this be my frustration. I'll be saying it to people. In order for the 2050 vision to be successful, we have to have prerequisites: consistency and prioritization, increasing the role of private sector, deepening regional integration, and this one, adopting an unconventional approach. Business as usual is not sufficient to reach the objectives of Vision 2050. I swear I'll be wanting to have a stamp that says that, because I'll be looking at people like, can't keep doing what we kept doing before. These aspirations and these visions will not be reached without hard work. These requirements must be in place in order to achieve. And these are your 3 areas. So, and they go into break this down. Look at what they are trying to do with the economy. So that's one thing when I tell people, like, hey, when you coming down here, hey, I just saw your things. I'm gonna answer this question in 1 second. Let me finish my train of thought, and I'm gonna let you answer this question. Um, but this is the goal of growth. Now, remember, this is where they are trying to go. And so, in order to achieve, that's what they do. They attract and sustain high private investment, increase domestic savings and capital inflows, promote higher public investment, improve human capital through education. Goals, 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 goals. That is what's driving it. Now, I'm going to sit here and say this one question real quick, as well as I'll say this to everyone. I am not a financial advisor. I am not an investment advisor. I do not do anything but offer my opinion based upon what I've heard, know, or grow. So, based upon what we're talking about, you can open a business in Rwanda to sell tires. There's actually a business here. Is it AutoZone? It's not AutoZone. So if that is something that's interested, I would say that you need to come over. You need to check out the landscape. You need to check out the marketability, and you need to go to RDB. RDB is your best place to go because in order for you to get into the tire business, there's not a rubber manufacturer here. So you're going to have to figure out your export and customs type situations and feel what you can do. What you're asking to do is something that you can market research and be able to find out what that looks like, what your investment looks like, and what that's going to carry over to your output. Like that is a very good area for you to be able to market and make those decisions. That is my personal opinion. Please do not hold me accountable for it for anything else. This is only what I think. I am not a professional, and I say that disclaimer with all of my heart. So, you can reach out to whoever or may go ahead and make your trip. And I would say that you want to go to RDB. You probably want to go ahead and visit the local garages around to see how viable you can do it, but make your market research impact first. Okay. Hey. All right, let's go back into finishing up the last piece of what we're going to do, which is talking more about the vision. So right here, like I said, this is 23. This was actually 350 pages. They have put this together and to put all this. So they have two time periods, 2020 to 2035. And this is where they look at trying to be able to look at your planning framework for this. So this conclusion builds onto Rhonda's extraordinary record of success, energized by the aspirations of strong leadership and a middle class on the rise. And that part is true. Vision 2050 charts a bold and ambitious future for Rhonda. Um, Also, looking at this, Rhonda aspires to provide increased incomes, high quality livelihoods, and modern living standards to all Rhonda citizens. Rhonda aspires to be a modern, innovative, equitable, accountable society with comprehensive utilities, clean water, easy mobility, and equal access to quality healthcare, education, and job opportunities for all the citizens. And I would say this piece here, one of the biggest questions that I get when I go to immigration underneath the business visa or underneath the agriculture visa, when we talked about even talking to people with the literacy center, when we talked about people with the farm, the number one question we get is how many jobs are you going to provide? That is the number one question. It has never failed that the question has been asked about how many jobs will you provide? How many jobs will you provide? How many jobs can you provide? And so that is the sing song of what's supposed to be happening is that if you're coming here to be a business owner, if you're coming here to be agriculture, you are providing work. You're providing a way to really input and impact this economy. And when we talk about different land things, they do not want you coming in, buying land and sitting on land. Like it's only a limited piece of land available. And if you see it in the vision, what is this supposed to be doing? How do we get there? So there's a goal, there's a universal goal to get where it needs to get. So, like I said before, I am only giving my opinion. I'm just breaking down some of the things that we saw. And today was a learning day, it's a learning lesson. And so, once again, both of these are 100% Googleable. Googleable. And I also want to shout out to my cousin connection that has done some amazing work. My company. And if you are trying to come over, we do help you through registering your business, getting your visa, and getting set up, getting your bank accounts, and all those things. That's actually something that we really do really well. And so reach out in order to get those things taken care of so you can spend more time focused on market research, taking care of the business and all that other stuff. And you don't have to get tied up with paperwork and all of those other little things. Okay. Peace out. Goodbye. 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 All right. Bye. Um, I didn't say goodbye yet because Mercedes Light, I just saw this. Thank you so much. And go ahead and put in the chat. I'm debating on giving you guys some more information. And I do feel like sometimes it's repetitive, like I live in Rwanda, I live in Rwanda, but versus like let's talk about the business of it. So just thank you for that. Thank you for that period. Please, I appreciate that. And Matthew Johnson, happy early Kwanzaa to you, baby. Happy early Kwanzaa to everyone. And we wish you a Merry Kwanzaa. We wish you a Merry Kwanzaa. We wish you a Merry Kwanzaa into the new year. I'll be back. Bye.